It's 1935, and as the Nazis make their first moves on the European stage, the fortunes of some leaders are up and some are down.
What everyone's trying to do is get close to the Führer. There's lots and lots of backstabbing. Everyone is jockeying for position.
Joseph Goebbels is riding high with his Nazi feel-good propaganda. Hermann Goering is fighting rivals and inner demons. But it's Rudolf Hess who's the biggest loser.
The inner circle around Hitler are like cats in a bag. They're all fighting each other, and the man holding the bag is Hitler himself, and he's willingly letting this fight continue.
And now they're joined by a dangerous new player, Martin Bormann. Cunning and ruthless, he'll work behind the scenes to undermine them all. This is the inside story of Hitler's henchmen. The power struggles, blind ambition, and fawning sycophants that would create a monster and fuel the most brutal horrors of the Third Reich. It's 1935, and Rudolf Hess, the deputy Führer, is given a request by his leader, a request which he cannot refuse. Adolf Hitler wants him to turn his country retreat at Obersalzberg into what will be, in effect, his second seat of government. It will be his Berghof, his mountain court.
Now, of course, you can't say no to Hitler. When Hitler asks you a question, no matter how tightly you're in that inner circle, you've got to jump as high as possible.
Hess is Hitler's longest-serving and most loyal supporter. As a devoted disciple, doing his leader's bidding is his reason for being.
What you have to remember about Hess is that Hess is slavishly devoted to Hitler. He's an absolute yes man. Intellectually, he's not a complete dolt.
Hess likes to think of himself as Hitler's right-hand man and the architect of the great Nazi vision that will conquer Europe. But he doesn't get that most of the time the members of the inner circle are fighting each other, not the world. And that's a battle he's not well equipped to win.
You know, he's frankly all at sea in this incredibly Machiavellian world of jockeying and positioning for power.
Hess is more of an ideas man, a thinker, rather than a doer. Running a building project at Obersalzberg, even for his beloved Führer, is not up his street.
It's not a very glamorous task, really. I mean, here's a man who's nominally the deputy Führer, and he's been given a role of sort of really refurbishing Hitler's house.
So Hess decides to delegate. And he knows just the man to take the job off his hands. His own deputy, Martin Bormann.
He passes the buck to Martin Bormann and says, please organise it, Obersalzberg, get it sorted.
Now, this is going to be a very fateful decision because from that delegation, there becomes this accidental transference of power from Hess to Bormann.
Martin Bormann has a low profile in Nazi circles and is virtually unknown in the country at large. He is not a polished politician or an orator. What marks him out is his skill as an organizer. If you need a go-to man, Bormann will make things happen.
Bormann is seen as a kind of oaf, as a thug. he is not sophisticated, and there's definitely a kind of class thing operating in which, you know, he's looked down on as kind of rough on the edges.
If Bormann were to walk into this room right now, you wouldn't take any particular note. He's not